and be wondering, well, where's that Zachary fellow? And, well, Zachary, who knows what he's up to, but I think if you had to guess, he might be OWL bound. Very well could be a thing, because what other reason would it be for him not to be on this Fusion roster right now?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget about Beast Halo, also absent. You know, where could he be? But we're going to be rolling out here to this first map here, and I believe it's Sanctuary for Busan.
Yep, and of course you want to talk about familiar players here. That's right, Overwatch League's very own now, I believe, on a 2-way contract. You got Snillo coming in here for Fusion University, but he doesn't quite get to roam free here, unfortunately, Avast. He is going to be on the Brigida, and Fusion University sort of bowing to the times here.
Yeah, I think so, but we have seen that it's very effective to utilize this GOAT composition, and we already saw Snillo in Overwatch League do his Rocky walkout, so it's time for him to get on the Bopham Sock'em character.
You know, I want to believe that that just inspired him, and he actually keeps that routine to this very day, has the drums and everything. I think that's a possibility. Probably not, but man can dream.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to see both teams rolling out to the respective sides of this mid. It looks like Fusion's trying to take a very aggressive stance here on the midpoint, while Uprising is sort of hanging back and trying to play on this flank, and they're going to be both looking for an engage once the cooldown is used.
Now the key thing here for Uprising, not going to let the point go for free, right? Now they're starting to make their way over, but man, they get chunked early. Firestrike coming in doing a lot, but Kangsik caught! That's going to let this flip entirely the other way. Dino, who's so good in the beat invitational, finds the pickoff when the shield was dropped, and you just can't recover.
Yeah, and that's the life of Reinhardt, honestly. You're going to have to get the Ghostbusters involved because he just disappears. It's paranormal activity. I don't know where he went. I have no idea. You drop your shield and you're gone. Yeah, so that was a little bit I don't think that was a smart play from Chainsing.
We're in a forest somewhere, the cam is shaking, no one really knows what's going on. No one even knows it's a good movie, but end of the day, Reinhardt's out, and that is an easy team fight for Uprising. Now Klaus, under pressure here early on, gonna get healed back up. Both teams jockeying here. This 3-3 setup. Alarm already in the Transcendence, gonna use to save Chainsing. He was in trouble, but on the other side, Dino has it up himself. Drops Transcend, Fusions. Hero of UK for the World Cup, drops the hammer, knocks down 2, and he wants to treat Fusion University right now like they're the USA and they're ready to choke.
And right now, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing the duo, the Brig Ryan duo of Chainsing and Snow be absolutely outplayed at just about every angle by the Klaus Fusion team. I'm just seeing a lot better play from them, and I'm also seeing a lot better bubbles out of Asti compared to Nice.
Yeah, and we don't really talk about as much as we should, but the Zarya bubble is so important to preventing big Brigida stuns.
Yeah, absolutely. They should be looking to save their bubble, if possible, for the stun, so the Ryan isn't deleted out of existence. But so far, they're using a lot more for energy, or maybe a little bit too reactively, instead of for the Brigading. But they are going to be gazing here on the midpoint.
Uprising, eating a lot of poke damage early on, Cracklock in trouble, but Barrier going to come in. Both teams varying. Grab in from Asking. Going to get 3 takers here for Fusion. Oh, nice charge to set up the Diva bomb to the back. Chainsing out of it. And again, easy team fight here for Uprising. And bear in mind, this would be Fusion's first absolute series loss if they were to lose this year. So Uprising already coming out in force.
And also what was huge in that last thing, ZP, that last fight, was Asking had a much better grab, and Nice got eaten by Crackalacket. He lost grab, and they just had a much better engage because of it. And that was absolutely gigantic for that last fight.
Grabs get in, things sometimes go bad. Now we're in overtime. Last chance here for Fusion University. Early Earthshatter gonna knock Fusions down, but the support is there. Transcendence, Bubble, you're feeling pretty good at the end. Uprising with the ability to bring this back around. Take a look at Fusions. Close to an Earthshatter in the fight. Bomb doesn't do anything. Chainsing already down. And okay, Fusion, you grabbed the point. You needed to, but you're still down a man. More importantly, you're down to Reinhardt. Earthshatter going back the other way. Fusion setting on up, and Transcendence gonna stop that from doing what it wants to do. And the turnabout coming in, Snillo grabs 2, and Fusion will hold.
And that was an absolute, it was looking really, really bad for Fusions actually there, but for Fusion University, but it was so good. Such like really well done outplay actually from Alarm and Nice, setting up, getting the grab and the trance to keep everyone alive despite being Chainsing down. Because without Ryan, that's a huge fragger gone off the field. And I think right now, I'm still seeing that outplay. I'm still Chainsing, like I don't really see the value that he's getting, but the rest of Fusion University is looking really solid.
Fusion University, though, it's going to be a tough mountain here to climb, especially being down in progress the way they are. Uprising, they know it. They're just going to try and take as many cracks at the point as they can here. Asking close to a grab. And again, Uprising not taking any risks, waiting for the Graviton to come up here, slow playing it. Now the grab is up. Now you look to Asking here, about 58% energy. Again, playing back with his team and just waiting here, but Cracklock got debacked.
Yeah, and that's absolutely gigantic there. And they are going to look for the grab with the Ryan down. Oh, it gets eaten! It gets eaten again by, well, not again, but Bernard eats it for the first time, and there's going to be a trance early out from Dino.
Bernard gobbling on up. This could have been even bigger for Uprising. Still winnable, but a grab's going to go back the other way. Alarm find the time to get claws, and off the Diva play of Bernard. Fusion is going to come back in and hold the point, and now it's anyone's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And once again, we've seen it before in the past seasons, but Alarm is playing out of his mind. He's so good. He has chances whenever he needs them. He's doing so much damage. He's doing the cleanup. And I've also seen a lot better Zarya synergy now from Nice.
Yeah, Alarm, he's been a rock, someone that you look at Contenders and go, who's the next Jonak? And it's like, well, actually, this Alarm guy might be the case. Not quite a wee babe like Sugar Free, but still not able to go in the OWL. But Uprising can open up here. Self-destruct. In. Breaks Brigida's shield. Earth Shatter in from Fusions. Doesn't quite catch what he's looking for. Fusion able to now counter-engage. Transcendence up. They move in. Bernard gets it with the bomb. And off of Bernard's play, Fusion University, they have brought this back. They're going to take the round.
And that was so good for Fusion University. They were able to completely outplay that Diva Bomb. They were able to be aggressive, use the trance aggressively because they didn't have grab yet, and that is exactly what you want to see. You want to see when an enemy team uses an ult, you capitalize and use the ult that would generally be a counter and try to take that initiative.
Lots of back and forth play going there, particularly on the ult side. Now, one thing we have to point out to you here, where we saw certainly varying different shades of Fusion play, but one thing that kind of struck out to me is that Uprising was doing a very good job of isolating Changsik. And how much of that was on Changsik, and how much of that was Uprising?
I definitely think earlier on in that stage, we saw Changsik getting a little bit caught out because of a lack of... I think there wasn't good enough protection from Nice and also from Snillo, but towards the end, I think after that, they were just doing a really good job of isolating Changsik, but they really reined it in the end. I think he improved a lot, and now we saw a lot more solid frontline where you allow Fusion's backline to really just like pop.
So we do have a change in styles here. Asking, of course, very well known for his hit-scans play, especially from the EU side, coming out here on the Widow.
Yeah, and we're going to be seeing the Tracer Widow dive, which is something we haven't seen since Overwatch League, the previous season. And they are running this Goats comp, so right now Goats should be looking to engage, maybe pick off a tank, and they don't want to play the slow game here because that's where Asking gets value.
Uprising able to retreat. Cracklock was very, very close to getting teambacked here. Obviously, Fusion University running a composition that's better at controlling space. Uprising very reliant on Asking getting a key pickoff, but for now, it's just been body shots, right? He hasn't been able to get the key pickoff onto back. Had a chance to get the Zen, but here's the problem. Widow play, you only get one, but Changsik just goes in and kind of feeds his life away, and now Uprising have a chance, but they have given up first control.
Yes, but they are in a really good spot. With Changsik not there to control space, and they have the high ground here on the point. This should 100% be a cleanup fight for Uprising as Asking gets the pick on Elk, and it should just continue to pretty much just get everyone out of the field for Fusion.
The weird thing for me is that I didn't feel like Changsik needed to go in there. They got the point. Like, make them come to you.
No, I agree. I don't think that was a good dive, but at the same time, he comes back and picks up Klaus. So,
right.
I mean, sometimes the Winston just counters the Tracer, he just comes up from spawn, it's like, okay, I'm going to zap you, and you're done. So that doesn't really make any sense to me, but he still had to retreat anyways, and we're going to see Uprising here with an advantage.
Uprising, and for now, they're going to stick with the Widow. You have the Impresight up. Impresight, of course, one of the hardest ultimates to push into. I mean, you're a little bit more protected coming in here with the Goat setup, but it's hard. But now, already, barrier up from Uprising. They're going in. Claws gets a stick. Elk right on out of there. Of course, Elk also one of those new two-way players. And Uprising, off the early pickoff, it's all they need.
And this is actually huge. Right now, we've talked about how Tracer essentially disappeared from this meta, and Klaus is having so much impact on Tracer versus this Brigida and a Diva on the field. He's managed to get sticks, he eliminated Elk, so he wasn't able to get beat, there was no speed on the field, and he's just been cleaning up. And I think this is like when you see, it is very tough to play Tracer, but you're seeing someone that's playing around the cooldowns and the movement and the lack of verticality, and Klaus is playing really, really well around this Goats comp.
It's been very good from Uprising here so far. Now they're about 2 fights away. Fusion, though, they have a grab in store.
Yeah, absolutely. They should be looking to be very aggressive with this grab and also with even the rally, because even though there is going to be a trance on the field, they should be able to clean up this fight as long as they stagger their ults.
Asking nowhere to go. Changsik just goes in deep, collects Widow. The problem is he's not with the rest of the team here, so there's a window of control where Uprising can bring this back. But now you're going to see Changsik get back over to the fight. It's a clear advantage to Fusion, but Alarm falls. Both Zen's gone. And now we look at Klaus here, where Tracer's like low number situations. Can he find what he needs to? Here's Snillo off the field. Doesn't have to worry about the Brigida anymore. So this is getting a little bit spicy, and all the while, Uprising has control.
And this is where Klaus should shine. Snillo's not there. Alarm is still coming back. This is a huge opportunity for him to clean up the fight. As Changsik chases deep, defeats a little bit of ult charge there, but he comes back. He's going to get the cap, but there's so much advantage in cap time here for Uprising.
And also think about what we saw last round. Fusion was able to fight their way back in a very similar situation, so you can't count them out yet, even though Uprising, in theory, should be able to take the round.
Yeah, but it seems like they have decided to swap off that Tracer Widow, and they're just going to try to take the brawl fight. And I actually like that a lot because they're no longer playing with time. The time's in their advantage, so they should just be looking to brawl, win the fight in a brawl, or build a ult economy here, and just eventually just beat Fusion through a pretty much just process of elimination.
Was getting focused down heavily early on, gonna get healed right back on up. Again, Fusion playing the poke game pretty well, but you gotta look towards Changsik here, where he's playing fast and loose with his life a lot of the time, being the vanguard and oftentimes getting blown up for it. Now, Uprising. Again, jockeying for position, barrier out, now they have to engage. Moving back over, barrier out, diving in, self-destruct finds Changsik, and that's a pick they needed. But now grab the other way!
Oh my god, that bomb! The bomb, ZP!
It wasn't where it needed to be, and we're gonna leave it at that. But the fight's still in contest. Barrier coming out here from Fusion University. They want to commit more, but they lose Snillo. They're not getting what they need from this barrier. Uprising has retaken the point, and we might be looking towards a round 3.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Uprising is going to be playing this point, trying to play around their highly charged Zarya and make sure to keep Dino alive. Because right now, all the advantage is in Uprising as long as they play this correctly and they punish Alarm and they punish Lucio. But it's just very scrappy here on the point.
Protect the Zenyatta. Protect the Zenyatta. You want to pray with you at some point. Changsik right now, man against world, gonna fall. Likely outcome there. Overtime ticks down, and we're going to round 3.
Wow, that was a really, really scrappy fight, and I really like the switches that Uprising Academy made there. They made sure there's no point to play the Widow Tracer anymore because you're just not looking to brawl. You're just looking to get those ults, and you're looking to win because you have such a time advantage. And I think Fusion played it pretty well, but that missed grab Diva Bomb combo was actually really, really big.
Yeah, that's one of those things where you look at it as like, yeah, that's not quite how that should have went down. It's like, you're not really where you need to be. And unfortunately, you can't take that one back, and Uprising able to take advantage of it here. But now we move into the more closed-in stage here at Busan, and you take a look at the subs for the teams, not really a surprise.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. We saw this previously in our earlier matchups. It's just when you get to an enclosed space and there's not a lot of room to work with, death ball, meat heavy, that sort of thing, it's just going to be the best.
So we'll see which team can play this better here. It's going to be the decider of Busan here early on. Was sure to be a hotly contested matchup. And again, take a look at the tank focus here, where Changsik has been under pressure. Oh, Elk almost gets bopped. He was a little bit far forward, took a risk, almost got punished. As Asking is able to find Snillo. Fusion was backing up a little bit, and they weren't able to do so successfully. Changsik nowhere to go. Early 2 pickoffs the Uprising, and that'll give them first control.
And Elk going low early there is actually so big, because when you see these opening engagements in mid, health is the most important resource. And what you see there is that Elk got low, he wasn't able to give value to his team, any utility with speed boost, and he had to back up, get healed, and his team got split because they did not have that aura.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it too, is that he has to get healed, which means Alarm has to put the orb on Elk. He's not putting the orb on the Reinhardt, he's not putting the orb on the Diva. Suddenly they can't be as aggressive, and it's a snowball.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're going to, Uprising doing the right thing, holding the choke very aggressively, trying to force the cooldowns, and trying to get that grab very, very soon. Because look at Asking, he's at 92%. 98%.
And Reinhardt focused down immediately. Everyone just getting in on Changsik. The shield bash being the arbiter of doom. And just like that, you lose your Ryan, you lose the fight.
Yeah, and this is really, really good from Uprising. Like I said, they're trying to get those cooldowns out early because when that Zarya bubble's gone, you can bash and you can just punish the Rhine like no other. And like I said earlier, he's disappeared. He's gone from this plane of existence.
He's just vanished. You know, you just have magic tricks going on here. You know, it's like those old 90s TV specials. Like, now you see him, now you don't. But Asking has the Graviton up here. They're going to be going back the other way. The early Transcendence in from Fusion University. They're trying to take the initiative. They're going to get stuck in the grab. Barrier now being used. Self-destruct out from Uprising, and that's going to be the finisher.
Oh, ZP. That was so bad for Fusion. They didn't have a combo. They had no combo set up for that grab. Why was the grab set up? Bernard wasn't even close to the Diva Bomb, and then Uprising just counter grabs, and they win the fight with the bomb.
I mean, I can tell you, I think the Zarya logic was, I see people clumped, I hit Q. It's like, no, wait!
You have to set up the Diva Bombs. We saw it previously, but it's so important. It's the only finisher, and they're going to be engaged once again as Fusion comes into the point.
Fusion's moving on in. Again, a man who has a reputation for a bloodthirsty Ryan, and that's why. Earth Shadow knocking down the Diva. They get the D-Mech, and you know, you've talked a lot about the importance of Diva here. You're down the Diva, it's really hard to start mitigating damage from all sources.
And it looks like Fusion backcapped on Uprising what was happening, but also Fusion's had a nasty shatter block against Changsik right there, but they can't fight the point at all because they have no front line. There's no front line here for Fusion.
Yeah, I mean, at most is giving them an extra fight, but they haven't been able to reset, so Uprising, they're just gonna roll in. You're like, oh, you guys are still here? Let us show you the way out. They're just gonna roll right over into them, force them back. Now, Fusion, to their credit, they are able to rotate out, keep it alive, but eventually, your Zen's gonna get caught. He doesn't have the most mobility. Asking's able to find him. Now Uprising, we're at 6v5, and they're well on their way to taking this first map away from Fusion University.
Yeah, and this should be a cleanup unless this is a fantastic bomb of Bernard, but no, they're going to block it. And absolutely, I think that just seemed to be Uprising beat they were one step ahead every point of that fight, I should say, for Fusion. They were just ahead every way.
And also, I mean, again, you talk about a meta where tank play is so important, right? You have to give credit here to the Fusions, where obviously Fusion's kind of the hot commodity right now. And I mean, rightfully so. You demolished the US. It wasn't even pretty. They were on the ground more often than not, but Fusion got a little bit of a taste of that there, where Changsik was just getting isolated again and again and again.
Yeah, and I think we shouldn't fall into the trap saying that it is just Changsik himself, but I agree he was getting isolated, but there just wasn't a lot of good utility going to Changsik, I think. And I just saw that there was just so much better cooldown usage and cooldown focus out of Uprising Academy. I saw very good bubble usage from Asking, saw very, very solid Brilliant bashes from, I mean, pretty much not from Snell, but I saw it a lot from Uprising all the time.
And the thing about this too, you know, they give due credit to Fusion here, is that they were able to roll with Season 1 and 2 with the very same core, right? Suddenly you've changed a whole bunch of key members. You've gotten rid of your longtime main tank in Beast Halo, because Beast Halo apparently, you know, who knows, could be heading for OWL. And then you take a look at the other people you've lost, right? Who are you? Who certainly was a presence on the team? Zachary. They've certainly changed their team identity, and you don't replace it all overnight.
Yeah, it is very tough to rebuild that synergy, especially once you get to a tank-heavy, pretty much a tank-heavy meta like we're in right now. And I think as we've seen as we play here, Alarm is just doing so much for Fusion. He's doing so much. This is a perfect trance, and he sets up the team with the focus. He's frontlining. I think he's using so much for Fusion.
I mean, the thing about Alarm is that Alarm is Mr. Reliable, right? He's never been bad. Like, find me a VOD, you'd be like, oh man, Alarm was feed. It's like, no, he's consistently good. Obviously, how good he is depends on how much the meta lets a Zen pop off, but as much as a Zen can in this meta, Alarm's great.
Yeah, he is. He is really, really good. I think if he was old enough and he was in Overwatch League, he would be like a top 3 flex support player, honestly. He's just nuts. And right here, we're just watching Fusion once again. I loved the space control he had during all of this match. He seemed to be exactly where he needed to be, and I mean, he just cleaned up a lot of times. He cleaned up.
Yeah, I mean, Fusion's one of those guys where, you know, you're kind of riding a wave where people's like, you're the greatest thing ever. He's like, let me show you why I'm the greatest thing ever. I'm going to win this game. I would love to win the series and give Fusion their first major loss. So we'll see how this goes. But so far, it's been very promising for the newly rebranded Uprising Academy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been looking really good for them.
So,
oh, Hollywood?
Hollywood. We're getting some sun and fun in our life here.
This is interesting. But I mean, we have seen Hollywood played. Actually, no, we haven't seen it played yet today.
Hollywood? No, we did see it just a moment ago in the first generation
with first gen,
match.
that's
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't our match, but first generation
My brain
going
turned
in.
off.
Yeah, and of course we saw back and forth there between Goats v Goats, but again, it was kind of a map where Zapri had a time of his life.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what, I'm gonna be honest, CP. You know what comp I'm expecting on this next map?
You know, don't tell me.
It starts with a G.
It starts with a G. Grapes.
No, they did do surgery on a grape. No, it's goats.
Oh.
It's goats.
Darn, I was so close. All right, well, we take a look here. What is your prediction looking at? All right, well, I don't think your main tank is suddenly going to be playing Genji unless Who Are You is just forcefully retaken his position on Fusion University. So that's probably not going to be a thing as they're setting up here. But you look towards the defense, something that is a little bit more set up here on the Uprising side, and it's Goats, Winston style.
Yeah, the dive goats. And I mean, it's to be expected, honestly. I'm interested to see how they set up the engagements here, because a lot of times when I've been seeing these dive goats, you know, you should be taking advantage of that of the mobility you have and all the verticality you have, and they just want to treat it like it's a Rhine. And I really want to see a lot more like dynamicism seen in those comps.
Well, taking a look here, it is going to be a mirror matchup once more. Not a lot of trickery coming out here, but we'll see how Fusion decides to play this. Do you go for the rope-a-dope, or do you go straight in?
It looks like that Uprising is going to be taking the fight pretty early at the choke, trying to do that ping-pong setup, which is actually really good for Fusions because they don't have cooldown. And they're just collapsing on the point here.
Asking got isolated, didn't get help from his team there early on. Changsik leading the way, and his aggression paying off heavily as he ends up with 3 before it's all said and done. He found the opportunity, he seized it, and now Fusion going to be getting a very quick point A.
And that all came down to the fact that Fusions he did that ping-pong setup where he can test choke and jumps back, but because of that, they used a lot of their cooldowns early, and there was no way for them to get away from the aggression of Fusions at all, and they just collapsed on them on the point, and that's really bad.
And of course, now you have to look at the part where you're a team and you lose point A that badly. What goes through your mind?
It looks like a lot of bullets was the first thing. But secondly, I think they're like, we just got to take the next fight as early as possible, and really they just want to try to mitigate the ult economy disadvantage they might be at.
So you staunch the bleeding, hope for something better to come about. But
yeah, absolutely.
They're going to go in. Dino finds Alarm. Alarm getting a sweet taste of his own medicine there, and that's what the Uprising need. They're able to clear out space, and they reestablish.
Yeah, and Dino actually, I don't think we've talked about him, but I think he's actually a really standout player, and he's been doing really well recently from what I've seen of him. So I'm really interested to see for this upcoming season what Dino can do, and that was really big from him.
Also, as far as I know, OWL Scouts, Dino is over 18, so that means he's not in sugar-free jail. Just to let you know.
That is true, but sugar-free jail is just a lot of jail.
You're in there for a while as you see Nice coming on in here. Graviton out, and Chainsik with the follow-through. Chainsik and Stillo both getting in right after the grab, and just textbook stuff coming out, and really not a lot Uprising can do about it.
That was a really good ult fight there. They only used one ult to finish it. They didn't have to use anything else. They have 5 ults coming into the next map, or coming into the next fight, I should say, and it's going to be tough for Uprising to sort of mitigate that because they're going to have 2 support ults, and that's about it.
So now we see Fusion heading up to the high ground here where, you know, how valuable is high ground in Goats v Goats?
I would say it actually does have value, but you have to make sure you're coordinating that aggression onto the backline if you're going to use it, or maybe setting up a grab.
You see Fusion tanks at backline. This is pure disruption. It's going to have to be a lot because they lose their Brigitte early on to the fight. Fusion's getting quite a bit of value here. Zarya finding herself super deep, way out of the fight, and then some. And Fusion, they have to completely rotate to save their Zarya. But the upside for them, they haven't lost anyone yet. Chainsik under a bit of pressure here. Gonna fall. Primal Rage not enough. And that disruption from Fusion.
Saved them the backline, or Nace, I should say, and Chase it came and Chase, and now they're just going to be getting like stagger kills here, but using those ults to save people so deep in the backline, it completely mitigates like all the aggression you had on the point and all the momentum.
By the way, guys, I do want to apologize for the entire Fusions versus Fusion thing that's going on.
Oh yeah, that's confusing.
It's a little bit rough.
It's a little bit confusing.
Yeah, it's a little bit tough, I gotta say, guys. It's not our fault. They chose the names, not us. Blame them. Absolutely blame them.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're going to be. It looks like Fusion's going to be approaching here from the main. They're going to have another grab though, and they will have combo. That was really good for them to save. I don't know if Bernard did that on purpose, but it's good that he saved it because now they actually have a win condition.
We do have the Graviton up. Bernard holding on to that self-destruct. Not going to let it loose here. Chainsik going to end up falling as Uprising. They take the fight relatively easily.
Yeah, and here's what we see that's a really good play from Uprising because they know they didn't have they had no defensive ultimates at all. So it was really on Fusion there to try to get the aggression and engage with their ults, but they weren't able to get it, and Uprising engaged first, which is the name of the game when it comes to Goats comps.
Now the upside here for Fusion is that they didn't let it go with Graviton of their own. That came from asking last fight. So they're going to be able to go for that Grav bomb connection.
Yeah, absolutely, and they do have trans up from Alarm, which is pretty big, but pretty much their hopes are all riding on this Grav Diva Bomb combo, because if they do not get it successfully, I'm pretty sure that Asking will build it in the next fight, and you're just going to be at equal footing.
Yeah, and Asking, I mean, you're talking about a player that's just simply godlike when it comes to hit scan, right? It's not going to be much for him to get an early grab. Now it looked Nice on the high ground, and now it's kind of a rough spot to drop a grab, gets booped all the way around. Did he even know he was shooting at the end of it?
I don't think what happened there, ZP?
I don't think even he knew. He's just like, get it booped away, drop grab, and it didn't work out at all. That was fantastic from Uprising, and especially Fusions.
And that's where we, just to make a callback to what we were just talking about, high ground is important in the Goats v Goats meta because he was trying to get that high ground, get the grab off, but they denied him that. They were sitting there, they're sitting 2 people, they wouldn't let him do it, and then he just essentially got caught out and did a terrible grab.
Ooh, Crackalacken was out, got focused down immediately there. Now 2-man advantage, and look, this is where Chainsik's aggression does pay off, where he is eating a lot of early deaths, but this is a case where he sees an opportunity, went on in, and Fusion took a fight almost for free.
Yeah, it was a good recontest for Fusions there, but very interesting fight before. But here, they might still be able to recontest here if Uprising wants to, because they do have ults. They have a trance, they can definitely look for a grab, and it looks like they do want to do that.
Dino is not extinct. Graviton gonna come up here. Chainsik gonna really walk a lot of it off with the Primal Rage. Almost gets taken down despite, but all that's going on, Crackalacken down. There's no more Diva. Transcendence gonna come up. Chang back up to full. And now that you've healed him back up, he's under pressure. He's gonna shake the pressure. The beat comes in, and this is masterful right now from Fusion.
And Fusions is getting deleted during this fight, and this has been really, really good aggression from Fusion University. This should be the end of the fight. They're just winning pretty much the stagger war. And what we saw there was, it was sort of the bunny hop of support ults, and they were never able to Uprising was never able to successfully catapult their ult advantage into a fight win.
I have to say, by the way, guys, a listener guide to this match, know your plurals. Fusion versus Fusions. That S, so important.
Yeah, it is very, very important. The S is. And also, the real MVP is going to be, hopefully, my emphasis on S. So I can actually differentiate between the two. But right now, we're just going to be set up for the next fight here. I'm assuming Uprising wants to take it very early. And they do have a Reinhardt, so they're looking for a very brawl-heavy composition.
Yep, they're going to dive on in. And Asking goes, all right, I'm going to get in too. And Fusion goes, actually, we're going to back up just a little bit. But hey, now we're ready to go. Let's roll on in. Let's have this scrap. Let's have a good old pub brawl diving on in. And meanwhile, Asking close to grab. Transcendence being used early here by Alarm, and Fusion's going to go down. And now, do you use the grab? Probably not.
No, you definitely don't use the grab. That was exactly what Fusion won out of there, Fusion University, because they were able to force out, they were pretty much able to force out the rally, and they used their own, but they did have to trade transfer it. Now, I would have liked to maybe have them kite a little bit more. That's what I think would have been the ideal play, but they were able to get rally out of the game, and now they can try to be a little more aggressive, maybe get the initiative here with a Bash Shatter.
And they have a minute left, so they're not going to be quite in that crazy victory condition moment. It will go under a minute, but still would be a decent time here for Hollywood. Meanwhile, Uprising, close! Almost going down immediately. Transcend from Dino. Going to put an end to that. Grab, connecting here from Asking, but the counter! Shatter! Kingsick making room! Klaus going down! And Fusion University with 3 pickoffs. What a great counter shatter.
And that is a fatty, shatty ZP. That's a game-winning shatter right there from Chainsick. That was the fight was over if they were not able to stop that. And him shattering there stopped all follow-up to the grab.
I feel like shatter is actually your one best hope, right? Where, you know, if you had kind of a guide to surviving in the world of Overwatch, right? And, you know, if you find yourself stuck in a gravitational vortex, look to your burly German man to save you by pounding the ground and giving you some time.
Yeah, I would. There was a lot of adjectives in there, ZP. There was a lot of adjectives, and I think that as well, just something to take away from that is that that's when Brigitte players should be looking to stop a shatter, like a last-second shatter like that. They should know, like, hey, they have shatter, we're grabbing. That's your chance to try to bash the Rhine and prevent that sort of counterplay, and that's sort of something that like teams need to be looking for when they set up that grab combo. And
it's all this micro-level play that goes by in the blink of an eye, but very much defines this composition, right? It's not just simply, hey, these heroes are running at each other and one team wins. I mean, you could be very reductive, but you'd be missing the nuance of what you do see in this gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. And though you could also argue that maybe Fusion should have been, you know, blocking for that, but at the same time, your Rhine is your primary damage dealer in the grab combo. So I think that's just something to keep in mind when you're a Brigitte player, is that your job is to make the Rhine's life not fun. You're just an anti-fun for Rhine.
Yeah, you know, it really seems just almost ungrateful, right? Where you have Reinhardt train you, teach you everything you know, is okay with you stealing power armor, and then you go out of your way to just make everything miserable for him. I just don't feel like Brigitte is actually a very good person.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we have we don't have enough facts to really determine the moral character of Brigitte yet, but like, you know, it's just fan favorite ZP, so be careful.
Yeah, she is
so be careful, ZP. But we are going to be rolling out to this pretty much the next round here to see if Uprising can bring it back.
Big fan favorite. I don't know how anyone could contest that, but we're getting into it. Uprising heading here on the attack, and that is a wild Hanzo in play.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that they're going to be looking for a spam.
It's gone.
No, they're swapping back.
It's gone.
Well, I guess we were asking for too much, ZP.
I hate you.
Well, that's where you lost.
I actually love you. But now, as we go forward here, Asking, the Hanzo dream is dead.
And Dino dies to a Fire Strike, so that fight's definitely over. The fight is definitely over.
It's a Fire Strike. I'm not quite sure if it was a meteor, but he is off the face of the earth right now.
Oh, wow. I like that. I like that. Getting very Jurassic Park here. So they're going to be coming out of spawn, and it looks like they're still staying on the same composition. No, nothing really. They just need to get a solid engage. They haven't got a solid engage yet, ZP, and that's why they need to take that fight to point and really look to where, I actually said, the micro gameplay, the cooldown users come into play.
So Uprising, they're going to go for the long way around again, going for the high ground here, looking for whatever small advantage I can give them, and Fusion goes, all right, we're going to go to our own high ground. We got coffee.
And right here, this is where they want to be. They want to be in control of the point. They want Fusion to come out to them. They want to be using those cooldowns aggressively.
Uprising going back the other way. Fusion's under fire, gonna fall, but Chainsick out. Both Reinhardt's gone, all else being equal. Fusion, though, a little bit weakened here. Elk had to get healed back up. Alarm had to put the focus on him. And now Transcend coming in from Dino. Uprising, turning up the heat. They lost Cracklock and Spec, but they take down Snillo, so it's not too bad. They're controlling the space they need here, but Fusion, they're going to try and rotate it back. They throw Transcend to their own, but big shatter coming in from Fusions, and that's enough. You get rid of the Zarya, and suddenly you have way more control over the fight.
And that is that pretty much comes down entirely to they were just able to delay and pretty much that late Snillo death as well, because once again we saw Brigitte use her shield bash, she was out of position and she was caught, and that's the one thing you don't want to do as a Brigitte. And Fusion's able to come back, get the solid shatter, and Alarm's trance was essentially negated, and now they're moving into the next fight with a rally, and all they have to do is make sure they don't all get caught in this grab.
How do you play around a rally, or is it just a straight, we're really good in this next fight?
I mean, it's pretty much like a second Transcendence, except now you have a shield maiden just like going like crazy in the middle. I think that it's a lot of it is kiting. You have to make sure that you're ready to kite the rally, but it can be used also in a way to give armor for the fight, so it just has a lot of utility. It's tough to play around.
So Fusion University holding back, early stunning out here from Gita. Klaus not wasting any time. Bernard back the other way, crack locking out of the mech, and the tank line is gone for Uprising. What do you do now? You just got back.
Yeah, you just run away and hope that you don't get staggered like crazy here. And this is what Fusion's going to be looking to do. They do kill Kraken in the end. And now, if I'm Fusion, I play the spawn here. I would play the spawn here. I have no fear. But it looks like they're going to try to hold the choke instead, which is still equally valid. But honestly, I love to see very aggressive plays. Like, you're sitting on the spawn, you have grab, you have Diva Bomb soon, you can set it up.
Yeah, I mean, also you make people drain ultimates, right? They got to get out of their spawn somehow, and one way to do it, make them use that cash. But going back the other way, you have Nice Deal. Graviton up. Fusion, again, be pretty aggressive here. They get the Transcendence out from Dino early. They're gonna wait. Now Nice is gonna go in. Knows he doesn't have to worry. Gets the grab. It's good. Chainsick there at the fall through, and Fusion University able to take the fight.
And that is exactly what Fusion wants to do every fight. They force the trance early, they can do a late trance after, and then you set up the perfect grab, and you wipe. And it's so good. And here we see Chainsick. He's being sneaky. See, and this is what I like. I want them to make them force them to use resources to get out of spawn. This is what I want to see.
This is how you get fans right here. Sneaky secret agent Reinhardt getting ready to drop the hammer.
So
yeah,
big.
Let's go.
That was really, really good. And they're just gonna clean it up. And that's pretty much the end of it. I mean, they just didn't look. They didn't open their eyes and look. It's like, hell, the Chainsick is missing. But it was really good for Fusion to set it up. They played very far back, so they weren't scouting.
How many boxes do you think Tom Cruise would need to fit in Reinhardt's armor? Or Huck?
You know, I would say, do you do an equivalent unit of Hucks?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I would say at least like 2 to 3 Hucks, potentially.
Okay. I can see that. That could possibly be a thing. But Uprising, they're coming right back out. They're gonna shake it all off and come back in. Crack left. Moving over. Earth Shatter early, or no, not Earth Shatter, but just both Reinhardts into each other. Chainsick, though, able to recover. Self-destruct into the back. Snillo goes back the other way. Fusion's able to take down Chainsick. And Uprising now looking for any momentum.
And this was actually really good for Fusion University. Even though they lost that fight, they were able to essentially force Uprising to use every ult to win it. And they had to, because they can't afford to get stymied here. They cannot afford to lose another fight. And that was really well done from Fusion, making sure that they're going to come back out, they're going to have a rally, they're going to have a trance, they're going to have a grab. And they have so many resources here to win the recontest.
Alrighty, well, Fusion University, we'll see what they do here. They had a very good defense here so far. Groton up here by Nice. And again, they're just going to hold back a little bit here and buy some time with Avast.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to be trying to take this fight a little bit slower and look for a really good engage here, because this is their fight to win. They have every advantage here.
Nice grab, takes down 3 early on, but they're not really getting the pickups they're looking for. It's a little bit more even. Barrier being used, Uprising, shaking it off, coming right back in. And now, 5-on-5, back and forth here. Fusion actually able to deal with the worst of it. This Transcendence now in reserve, and the rally from Snillo is giving them some beefiness, and here we go again. Graviton out, Transcendence in, but it's not enough to save Nice, as Fusion commits, but now we have a Transcendence back the other way from Uprising.
And this is on Chainsick here. Fusion still isn't back yet. Is he going to go for the Shatter? He does. Oh, but it's not a lot of good value. And then he gets a counter Shatter on Snillo. So I think that's going to be the end of the fight unless we have a really good counter test here from Fusion.
So Snillo gonna fall, Cracklock and move it back in. Uprising moving their way, and that is gonna be enough to finally get in the point B. But this has been a great defense from Fusion University here so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, they've been doing a really great job. Even if they're losing fights, they've been making them use an incredible amount of resources to win those fights. And they're just wearing them down from time. And compare that to how Uprising's push was at this point of the game, pretty much, or the Uprising's defense was, where Fusion's was like on its last legs pushing, while Fusion University actually has a very solid defense potential set up here.
Fusion now going to the high ground, but momentum has been against. How do you reclaim momentum here in this Goats be Goat setup?
A lot of it just comes down to maximizing your utility out of both your cooldowns and your ults. So I would like to see Fusion try to set up maybe a 1 ult engage. If they need to do something here to punish Klaus in particular, because they don't want that rally just running them over.
Alrighty, well, Fusion, they do drop on in. They don't quite get the engage they're looking for early on. Asking Getting at the grab midway through. Is he gonna let it go? Again, biding his time. Uprising, laying the barrier, go away. Graviton now in, and both teams getting to the thick of things. Earth Shatter coming in here from Fusions, and it's a big one.
And that was a huge Earth Shatter from Fusions. They weren't able to get the combo, and he was able to prevent them from doing anything in the follow-up fight. And now they're just going to be here farming ults. The Crackalackers will have Diva Bomb, which is really big for controlling the point for the recontest. But Fusion University has plenty of ults to contest here, but they have to be careful. They have to make sure that this Diva Bomb does not get value, and that Fusions does not get another big ult because he's at 70% ult.
Uprising real close to evening the score here. Times very similar. Earth Shatter though, in from Chainsick, but he can't follow through. The Diva Bomb committing his attention. He has to look to the skies. Now, take a look here. Uprising get healed back up, but they lose a lot of momentum there.
Yeah, they do lose a lot of momentum, but the ult economy in Uprising is so good right now. All they have to do is look for a solid. They can pretty much top everything. This is the last fight.
Oh, Graviton comes in. Nice, gonna fall. Uprising moving their way back in. Fusion's out of the fight though. They've lost Orion, but they take down Chainsick. They even it up. Transcendence in, keeping everyone healthy here for Uprising. Fusion, real close to their own, but they don't have it just as anyone gonna fall for it. No, Alarm, Transcend of his own, buying time for respawns to get back into the fight, and that buys them time. 10 seconds left for the Uprising.
And they had to get rid of Alarm there. They did not focus him. He was just out in the middle, and they're coming back for this recontest, and it absolutely, it's pretty much Alarm was the key factor there, and they did not focus him.
We are here in overtime. Barrier in from Fusion. Oh, that's a shatter and then some. Chainsick drops the hammer once more, and that puts a nail in the coffin. Fusion University gonna fight this series right back. We're looking at a 1-1.
And that was a great defense for Fusion University. That was so good. And in particular, that last fight, Uprising should have won. Yeah. They should have won. The Alarm was just sitting there, and they just didn't shoot him at all, at any point.
No, Alarm's just like, don't pay attention to me. I'm just your friendly neighborhood Zenyatta throwing orbs at your face. And you know what? Don't ignore Alarm. Teams don't ignore Jonak. Don't ignore Alarm.
Yeah, absolutely not. If they had gotten rid of Alarm there and they had better focus fire, which is just a huge tenet of GOATs, is focus fire. And you burst one thing down, then they could have won that fight. But Alarm was able to survive. He was able to get Trance off, and it was just game-changing. And also, I think Chainsick played a lot better that round than he did the previous map.
Yeah, I mean, Chainsick, I think it was a case where maybe it was nerves. I mean, it's always one of those sort of pedantic things to say. It's like, is it nerves? Like, we don't know. We don't have any case. We just have objective performance. And I would say on Control, he was a little bit of a weak link, but he had some big plays here in Hollywood.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just performed a lot better with his team. I saw also a lot better synergy with Snillo as well, which was like we said previously, synergy is so important with making sure your Ryan gets value. And we saw it a lot better on there. We saw just Fusion's defense every step of the way was just agonizingly painful for Uprising to push, and they had to use so many resources to get a point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a slugfest across the board, both teams having their highs and lows, but in the end, it's 1-1, and really, it's any team's game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that this is actually a very close match again. Like our first match of the day, I think we're going to be seeing another nail-biter potentially.
Do you think there's a world where either of these teams change things up as we go into Assault, as we go into Escort?
Maybe with Escort, I could see like sort of like the Mayhem comps you saw earlier,
yeah,
with more of like a Sombra focus, maybe a Pharah focus. But really with Assault, I think Assault Ghost is just so strong. The potential to just win a first point and then go to last and just win is nuts. And also taking fights on point is just so good for Assault in general, because that's the objective, and you can sort of box out the enemy team in their own spawn.
Yeah, well, we'll take a look at how it's going to be here, guys. Will the GOATs get out of the barn once more? Or we'll see some change-ups as we end the map 3 and 4. It's a close one here, guys, but we're taking a quick break. When we come back, more Overwatch right at you.